Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Junia Doan's The Spark. I'm Junia Doan, and thank you for joining us. My guest today is Dr. Itauma, Associate Professor of Statistics and Business Analytics at Northwood University, Michigan. Welcome, Dr. Itauma. Tell me about business analytics. What actually does it try to do? What do you do it?
Well, business analytics focuses on developing new insights and understanding of business performances based on data and statistical methods. So basically, the goal is all about trying to help businesses learn how to drive insights from data to improve their performance and growth.
Do you find like statistics, it's subject to data in, data out? In other words, the analytics, what you feed in terms of information there, somewhat determines the outcome. If you made different choices in the entry of what you chose to analyze, you get a different outcome?
Well, in every decision making, it all depends on the design and the problems that you're addressing. So basically, when you understand the key problem you're addressing, then you are able to think about the statistical methodologies to use in addressing those key problems.
There was a man a few decades ago who predicted the world would get overpopulated. He scared earlier than him. He scared everybody. But then it turned out he didn't correct for people getting richer and not having so many children and this and that and that and this. So would you use this as a forward projection, or would you have to ask different questions once you got the data you had?
The trend in the world doesn't start with data. The trend in the world really starts with the existing problems that we are trying to investigate. We basically use data to really confirm a particular hypothesis or theory or claim that we are predicting. So the starting point always is about the key business question. What are we trying to address? Not about the data. So the data comes much later.
I see. So it's important to know the right questions.
Right.
But does AI play a part in this in any way? Can you help it or do anything that would accelerate it or stop it?
Well, these are all tools that we have all been able to formulate over time in order to help accelerate processes and make better decisions on time. So AI definitely helps in the whole process of trying to find answers on time.
So when you were learning in Nigeria, where you're from, how did they teach K-12, or how did they teach? What was the expectation?
That's a great question. And so in Nigeria, we run a 6-3-3-6 educational system. So we have 6 years of primary education. Then we have 3 years of what we call junior secondary school education and 3 years of senior secondary school education before we get into the university. Now, in most schools, the curriculum differs from one school to the other. There are schools that follow the British curriculum. There are some schools that also follow the American curriculum as well. So there are private schools, there are public schools, and so on.
So what did your parents decide for you, or do you have choice of that? Not you, the child, but you, the family, have a choice about where the child will go to school?
Well, now decisions differ from one home to the other. Now, in my home, more or less, my parents decided that they will follow the child. Of course, they try to guide the child to place them in the place that they, they seems to be the best fit for them. So for me in particular, I went to about three primary schools because my dad moved from one city to another based on where he was working. So I had the opportunity of interact of engaging in different culture from or tribes from one city to the other. And as a child, it wasn't really important the particular school I went to because as long as they had a strong curriculum that helps to guide a child to be better, I think that was much more. My parents were contented with that, but there was an additional thing. It's not just about the school. It's about also the extracurricular activities that the child is also engaged in. For example, music, singing, and so on. Things you do not just in the school environment.
So your parents decided on that, or is that was after school programs run by the school?
I can't really say if my parents particularly decided on something, but I know that my parents decided to ensure that I had the best of education. So now it's
Right.
also left for the child to embrace the opportunity that is in front of them.
So you went to school in Turkey for a while and was on a scholarship? I
Yes,
wasn't aware that Nigeria and Turkey were so involved with each other.
absolutely. So after my undergraduate, I studied electrical engineering at the University of Ilori in Nigeria. I was seeking an opportunity of studying, doing my master's in a foreign country. And the federal government of Nigeria has a bilateral educational agreement scholarship, uh, which they which they give the students the opportunity of not just studying in Turkey, but in other countries where they have the bilateral educational agreement with. And so I had that opportunity of studying in Istanbul Technical University, where I did a
A
master's in
good one.
computer engineering. Yes.
So, and it was taught in Turkish or English?
The so it was said to be 70% English, 30% Turkish, but I felt it was more of the reverse. And I must say that after my second year, I really was okay with 100% Turkish.
How did you learn it? I don't know. Is it that easy a language to learn?
Well, it's a beautiful language. Easy, I can't really say, but I would say it's a language that came natural to me because after my third month of being in Istanbul, so based on this agreement, what is done first is that the first year you go to a language school. So in my first year, I was in Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey, and I went to a school called Tomer, where I had the opportunity of learning the Turkish language. So the goal is that we are being prepared before we get into college or to the university.
That's wise. And you stayed there quite a few years, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And did you want to stay?
Well, I'm always in Turkey more or less. Even though I'm far away from Turkey, I always feel I'm there right now. Sometimes I think in Turkey. I speak fluent Turkish. I'm still engaged with the community right there, even virtually. So I wouldn't say I've actually left Turkey.
I interviewed a writer a few years ago and who had lived in Italy and Alexandria and England and America. And he said he had the experience that he would be at a beach someplace, but then he'd remember the beach in some other country and he would want to be there. And it's like he never left, just kind of what you're saying. And
Right.
what happened after that when you finish your degree there?
Other opportunities came up. At that point, I moved on into the new stage of life. I got married, and just after I completed my masters, and at that time, my wife was doing her residency in Detroit, Michigan, and just at that time, I was planning on doing an MBA in Germany, and then I
Uh,
decided well, are we moving to Germany or should I take the adventure to explore the United States? Of course, now we all know that I took the second, I made a second choice by coming over to the United States to explore Detroit, Michigan, while my wife was doing her residency at that time.
How did you two meet?
Yeah, we have known each other since we were teenagers. So we've known each other since high school. We met in Lagos in Nigeria. Interestingly, um, we actually met in a bus. So I was heading back from school on one particular day, and usually when I'm in the public transportation, I love reading books, and in particular, I love reading books about Krishna. Interestingly, and and so I was on, and that was this particular day. I was just reading, and I noticed that someone was trying to see what I was reading, and I was like, okay. I carried the book upwards for her to read as well.
Darling.
Because in most cases, people are just thrown off when they say, "Why is he reading about Krishna?" You know. But she was interested. I was like, "Okay, great." So we became friends. So we're basically childhood friends since then.
Was your an arranged marriage nonetheless, following custom of her
Well,
tribe or
no,
your tribe?
oh no. So there was no arranged marriage. So the goal to get married was basically our own decision, you know. And interestingly, we got engaged in one of our favorite spots in the world, which is Vomperberg in Austria. That was where we got
Oh,
engaged. Yes.
cute.
So yeah, and then at that time, my mom was still around, and so she was preparing for. We told her that we're getting married that the subsequent year, so we got engaged in December of 2011, and we were preparing for the wedding sometimes in 2012. And so my mom was excited and getting everything ready, calling friends, etc. But she passed on shortly before the wedding, and so
Oh,
we still honored the whole preparations that she had started, and we came to Nigeria to organize a great funeral for her and wish her well in her journey onwards as she moves on in life. And then the next day after her funeral, we actually had a court wedding in Nigeria before I returned back to Turkey and my wife returned back to the US.
oh, quite a story. So, what
Right.
actually happens in the wedding? Which customs did you follow?
Oh, that's a great one. So I'm from the south of Nigeria and in a tribe called Ibibio, and my wife is from the southwest, Yoruba. Now, so there's so much the tradition is quite amazing. You know, the dressing. So I dressed in the based on the custom of my people. My wife also dressed based on her own custom, and it's kind of colorful and beautiful. My wife's dad organized a big wedding, you know, on our behalf, invited so many people. So basically, for us, we were there to ensure that we flowed with the whole tradition and had so much fun, you know. So, and so that's the best we could do because it was really engaging, and and so we had fun basically.
What I've read on it is some tribal things, one side of the family wears picks a color and they all come in that, and the other side picks another color and they all come in that, and it's 2 or 3 days of parties basically. And there's much laughter and, as you say, fun. And it just sounded wonderful. And
Right.
and now you have a few children.
Right. And regarding colors, as you said, so we actually made a decision on the colors and communicated it with our parents and guardians and friends. And so we basically, the wedding reflected the colors that we chose.
I see. And then what is the custom? Do you have a honeymoon? Sometimes I read it's for a week. Sometimes I couldn't find. I don't know what the custom was, but I think it's interesting to find what's significant in another culture's wedding that you'd carry with you because you're going to carry that forward just like you carry turkey forward.
Absolutely. And I think it all depends on the individual because for us, I must also acknowledge that I also have individuals in Turkey that are based in Atlanta. No, in Antalya. For the world of me, I always mix Atlanta and Antalya as the same. So Antalya is on the south of Turkey, and I have people who regard me as their son, and they also organized a Turkish wedding for us. So after the Nigerian wedding, we were in Austria for a wedding as well. And then we were in Antalya, which is in the Asian part of Turkey. And my Turkish parents also organized a celebration as well. So you can call it the honeymoon, but we are just call it a celebration across different continents. So I would say our wedding took place in three continents: in
Oh, I love
in
that.
Europe,
Yeah.
in Africa, and in Asia.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And
And
what
yes,
customs do you think? Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, and yes, we are blessed today with three amazing princesses.
And I noticed they figure or your wife's desire. How did they get started so early?
To do what?
Figure skating.
Oh, figure skating. Okay, so I would be the culprit on that aspect. So when I was in Ankara several years ago, I had some friends of mine who decided to take me to the skating rink, and I was like, okay, great. And I went in, I wore the shoes, I stood, and I felt so cool. I felt like I was transformed into a different world. All my worries was taken away, and ever since then, I fell in love with figure skating.
Oh, so Dan, good for you. Good for you.
Right.
That's really, and it's something you can do with your children.
Absolutely. It's a delight that my
Does
first
your
daughter,
wife come along, or is
yes,
this daddy time?
she does come along. So it's kind of a family activity now.
Oh, I love that. Now, when
Yeah.
you started to teach, what did you have to learn to be successful? Because I'm sure teaching in Turkey, teaching in Nigeria, teaching here, all a little bit different.
Absolutely. Well, one of my philosophies in life is adapted from Nelson Mandela, and it states that education is the greatest tool which we can use to make the world a better place. And for me as a person, education has taken me across the world. You know, and the key challenge always is how do you communicate that which you have within yourself to people around you. So let's say you're having a one-to-one interaction with someone, you're doing having a tutoring session. That might seem easier because you're trying to communicate the content from your soul to the soul of the other person. Now, it's a different scenario when you have up to 25 students in a class or more. Now, how do you land your energy to everybody around? And for this, one of the practices I have adopted over time is the concept of yoga. So I get myself a lot involved in yoga practices because I understand that before I can be on stage and even before this call, I had to exercise myself so that my body, my mind, and my spirit are all in harmony and ready for the performance. And when I can create an engaging performance, I really strongly experience that my students feel very comfortable and enjoy the whole process as well.
How did you learn that the spirit needs to be involved? And how can you tell when the spirit is leading you and when it is not, so that you have to do yoga before a class?
Well, the key question is who am I? Who are you? And this is a fundamental question I've asked myself since I was a child. And one easier answer that comes to me is that I am a spirit. And since I am a spirit, and my understanding is that spirit is energy. And from physics, we learned that energy is the ability to do work, then the spirit needs to be active. And for it to be active, it needs this physical body that we have been given. It's a gift in this physical environment for our activities. So for the spirit to glow well in activity, I need to also keep the physical body vibrant. I need to tune the physical body. And from childhood, I have come to learn that yoga is a practice that can be used to tune the physical body.
Is there amount of time that you have to do yoga? Will 5 minutes do? Will 55 minutes do to balance and achieve that harmony for spirit?
Well, it all depends. Now, the same way we would ask ourselves that how much food should we eat on a daily basis for us to feel comfortable. I see doing yoga as eating. You know, just breathing, breathe in, breathe out, is an act of yoga. Knowing how to breathe well is an act of yoga. You know, playing an instrument like a wind instrument, like a flute, requires a lot of um, diaph- breath and working on your diaphragm to ensure you can control the air that passes through the lungs. So, um, meditation is a form of yoga, just trying to keep your mind and free yourself from any worries around and trying to embrace positivity. It's all forms of yoga. So it all depends. Even if you wake up, if you can practice 5 minutes of meditation every single day, I think it's a good thing in order to calm the mind after all the hustles and bustles of daily life. We need to really find time to reset ourselves.
And how did you discover this? I missed what you said at the very beginning.
Well, the discovery is in life itself. Now, there is no, so take for example, when I was a child at 7, could recollect that my dad loves listening to classical music. And then we would go to a place where he sits down and crosses his legs, and we just listen to classical music and just try to stay calm and imagine that we are in beautiful places and stay calm. So this was a kind of a weekly practice I had with my dad. And I remember that time he loved standing on his head. So I learned how to stand on my head even before I knew that it was yoga. And I
That's
actually did that then
endearing.
because, yeah, I did that then because as a child I had this problem with nasal issues, sinuses. And whenever I stand on my head, I felt more relieved.
Oh, oh, what a wise parent. What did your parents want you to value in life? What did they tell you what makes for a good life?
Well, I think that's a key question that we all ask ourselves, whether we're parents or a child. I think the most important thing is that we should be who we should be to discover our purpose, to discover ourselves. So my parents never really limited me in what I need to do or not to do, but allowed me to have the opportunity to explore. And by the way, I'm an only child, so of my mom, and so I didn't feel I had any sense of restriction, but I was given the opportunity to challenge myself.
You know, just of my friends, I found that only children, I they they listen better. I don't know, maybe they had more practice because their friends were the parents, right? And they weren't running around the house in the course of family life talking to another child in the family. Anyway, very interesting. I like the idea of spirituality in a classroom and how you connect with people. Does it allow you to connect with a group of 25 in the classroom?
Absolutely, and it's really a journey as a challenge. You know, every semester comes with it's with a different dynamics because you get the opportunity of meeting a new set of students who reason in different ways. And in education, I always follow a particular model which is called the UDL, Universal Design for Learning, which embraces multiple means of representation, multiple means of presentation, and recognizing that everybody learns differently, every learner is unique. And as such, in my first week, and even before the semester starts, I always try to do a needs analysis to really try to understand my learners so that I can actually prepare myself even before I get to see them physically or virtually.
Well, I am so impressed with you. And thank you so very much for being on the program today. And I've learned a lot. It's nice to know you're in the world. I do like that idea of a spiritual life and that your body has to be in good shape to support that. And that it's a loving, what do I want to say? It's a loving, a loving, it's beyond kind. It's very generous of you to put yourself in that way and then try to connect with your students. And it's just like you said about the ice arena, it changes the energy in the room and it changes your relationship with the people there, I'm quite sure. And I have never heard it expressed before from someone who was a teacher. Although, yes, in other areas, personally, I do meditate about 10 minutes a day. Then I do yoga for about 20 minutes a day with a girlfriend of mine. And I have found out, sometimes I hate doing yoga, but I know at the end of the time, I am transformed. So from an energetic staticness or from just being off, and then I just am very spiritual. So everybody has to find their own way, and I'm a great admirer of yours that you can live in so many continents, in so many cultures, and to be comfortable. So thank you so much for appearing. And to the audience, please remember, do something kind for someone you know and someone you don't know, and I'll see you next week. Yes.
To contact Junia, send her an email at juniadonsthespark@gmail.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadonthespark.com. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Junia Doan's The Spark.
Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.